I'm by myself. You and
I'll join you.
Are we going to be by ourselves? Well, we better mix it up.
Okay, we'll join you.
Join Dale.
And Ed's by himself here.
Oh, my friend.
President of that.
Thank you, Laura, for being our greeter today. Please stand and join Dave Barth as he leads us in O Canada.
O Canada, our home and native land, true patriot love, in all thy sons command. With glowing hearts we see thee rise, the true north strong and free. From far and wide, O Canada, we stand on guard for thee. God keep our land, glorious and free. O Canada, we stand on guard for thee. O Canada, we stand on guard for thee.
Well done. Please find your glass. Join me in a toast to Canada.
Canada.
Yeah, we're in business, sir.
And the Queen. And the Kitchener Westmount Rotary.
That's our old heart.
Should have an extra glass here.
Good. Please bow your heads. May this sharing of food foster peace and understanding among us. May it bring us to the recognition that we depend on each other for all the good we can ever hope to receive, and that all the good we can hope to accomplish rests in helping others in turn. Amen. If you're a Rotarian and you have brought a guest today, please introduce him or her. John.
Okay, my friend and colleague, co-worker Ian Catrice.
Ian, welcome.
Hi, everyone.
Welcome. And Bill.
My friend, neighbor, and future speaker at the club, Tammy Bender.
Oh, Tammy, welcome.
Okay.
Rotarians, please join me in welcoming our guests. And Ian and Tammy, you have the privilege of leading us to the buffet.
I think they just use mine moving up here.
Is the contact that you had for the gentleman that spoke. Okay. We were talking at the membership committee about they might be like someone we could approach about a corporate membership. So I don't mind reaching out to them, but like both guys, and try and give them a bit of a feel. And we thought, you know, because he was pretty passionate, you know, and I thought one of the things that Ian Robertson had suggested was because we looked into it would have been great if he'd had a booth at the national convention to talk, you know, to think about the worldwide, you know, what can we, House of Mansion, all of these small things. We thought if there was even one opening, we would have just said, look, you might want to park yourself there for a reason. Yeah, with the lights. Now there's so yeah, that would be great. I don't mind reaching out. So basically, you set the capacity of the kids don't for the kids right there on this side. So basically, they can have access to anything.
Oh, you can?
Like for my 9-year-old, they're not Facebook.
Okay.
I understand every device somewhere. Oh, yeah. That's on it. But I was not sure if it stays on it. I know that they're patient a little bit. No, it's not. These are all.
I saw that ad.
Yeah. But only 9 per week. That's the guideline.
That's great, right?
Getting closer to it. Green light.
Which one? Oh, yes, yeah, yeah.
Never been? Oh, no.
Oh, because she said that she talked to you. Oh, okay.
You know all about that. I don't really understand that.
You have to build up a little bit more goodwill than that.
Clear it for a moment.
I don't know if that's right.
Just sort of mention.
So,
I always said where a leg is. I was telling talking last night to people.
You weren't sleeping when they said it.
Talking about some places out there. You rent, and they don't have furniture. And I said, we were just talking last week about a place in Israel. His place comes with nothing.
when we bought it from the builder,
No appliances.
it comes with absolutely nothing.
No
light
light
fixtures, no appliances, sink and tap and that kind of thing, toilets come with it. But all of the stuff that you tend to assume you're gonna find.
Not there.
And what's more interesting is that for tenants, they rent without any of this stuff. So the people we rented to, they brought their own fridge, stove, basically everything.
And then they take it when they
And then they
leave.
take it when they leave. No, my brother rents a apartment, put his own air conditioning. Like not a window air conditioner, just a whole central air conditioner. And when he goes, he'll take it with him. But he's not gonna take the pipes, but he'll take the compressor and all the rest of it.
Can I say that again? You have to move it. Yeah, I love it.
Well, that's what happened the last place. I put that in, I ran all the lines and everything.
That's fine.
I can write it down.
I was going to ask you more than one. You know our talk.
Oh, yeah, definitely. Oh, yeah, yeah.
What's her name? Oh, anyway, she used to years ago. That's a fire.
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
Yeah,
We sent, oh, you got that.
yeah. Oh, good.
Just like a law Troy once a year.
Oh, great. Oh, excellent. Thank you.
I can't sneak up on you.
Yeah, okay.
Gail. Yeah, that's it.
The other one, I still remember was
Soon. Everybody, the partner, embassy, or donate, or whatever.
One of those people that you just don't say no to.
the humor in that. He said a couple of those kind of things.
He died.
And then she went up to,
She's still.
Yeah, I don't know. Completely lost contact.
there were a couple times that they were on the phone. The other guest that they had, usually two guests, they didn't get on. Because he was just like, oh my God, she was asking me largely like, he had great personality. It was so high, and then, you know, he was able to come back. He would, the highest was just completely sketchy, no idea how much time. As they continued to film it, because in other years when they showed
Like, you can imagine how
showed what was going on in the commercials. Yeah, and they giant machines.
Following Gail's lead, Shirley.
Bikes wouldn't have to go through. Oh my God.
I did a business.
Very, very witty.
Two of them made it right there. Oh.
They destroyed watching some of those. You see them on tragic. Billy Crystal.
He was there for no, with him. And underfloor anesthetic. They put the tube down his throat, and it folded. And he suddenly basically died right there.
They do an annual DJ calendar here.
So they
Month.
Oh, that's when he goes in.
Then you get someone to endorse it, or write for example, my mother did that, whatever. So I did this year, and that was that's her passion.
Yeah, that was
I'll tell you young.
Flag way down there.
Right now, I don't know.
Oh, yeah. What is that, right?
It's fun to see him on stage. I don't want to sit at
I can't stand. We don't have to. Anyways, I'll never read.
That's all I do. I can do all these tax returns for free and
I ever win it.
For the first 5 minutes, you have to take
And I walk through the office, say how many they do want. How many? Never ask if they want to buy something.
you're in sales.
Oh, yeah, some
I knew that was the same area and there was them too.
I keep them, and I
It's actually,
when I phone you, I already had your, I already had your board meeting.
Now I have to understand.
I'm the president.
So I don't.
You don't know.
I don't. I
Do go to the agenda. Any other business? So I reached down and and I said, now before we adjourn the meeting, we have to attend to some other business. And I just went around. Sold a nice little bundle that night. They all say, yeah, never mind, never sold that. It's impressive. I should have to
Oh, you take a picture of it? That we have not.
They know they have an email number.
Oh, yeah, it's just like when you go to pick up. It's the same thing. So I think this would have been control. Pull that one out. And we can sequential order. We just keep shifting on the teams that want $2. 3 of these.
Some people get multiple wins.
And then I just look at how much.
Yeah, they're the ones who can win $1.
Yeah. And then they always ask me,
$multi-million lottery, and it was just like. Oh, that was a nice.
There's always someone beside you. Oh, yeah, 100%. They all know what's going on. Because they're not all the same thing.
$1 million.
Like a certain time frame, there's always one. It's hard for me to remember. They're not in the yeah, the dollar ones, they're not in the
Round 3
It was supposed to be. Where do you think we are? We're the
I got out on a lot of weekends. Not all, but a lot. That was American. I know there's we're trying to keep it. A lot of going to the cottage on I've been taking some Mondays. I have to start earning money. This summer I have to start earning. Right, so. Lady phoned me out of the blue. They're doing a video.
So I guess we'll continue the meeting at this point while you finish your dessert and coffee. Starting with club business and birthdays. Chuck Thompson, I saw Chuck here. Tomorrow's a big day for you, Chuck. Happy birthday. Tomorrow. And I saw Big Rick is Friday. Is it? It is. Yeah. When you retire, the days just sort of blend together.
Not quite as important as Chuck's.
No. Anyway, happy birthday, Rick. This Friday. I don't think we had any wedding anniversaries this week. For club anniversaries, John Billimer was kind enough to point out that I dropped the ball a little bit last week. I was introducing some members that had been members of the club for 37 years, making them charter members. And I guess I didn't go scroll far enough down on the website because I missed two very important members, one of them being Chuck Thompson, 37 years on March the 4th, charter member, and also Don Wilcock was a charter member 37 years ago on March the 4th. So sorry for missing that. I'm glad 37 years ago you guys decided to get this ball rolling. It's a great club, and we appreciate what happened there.
We're still alive, too.
Yeah. Let's see, what other club anniversaries? Jairus Moth, March 7th. He's been with us for 6 years. Jack Kinch has been 6 years as of today. And Matt Graham, March 17th, St. Paddy's Day, 2 years. And Brandon Llewellyn was the 19th. He'll be 4 years. Whole bunch. March is a good month for a club. Club business. John Billimer, where are you? Where's John? Stand up, please. Come up to the front. You're back in grade school.
You're going to give blood, John.
Forget that.
We have a Paul Harris Sapphire Award for you. Which means you've given quite a bit of money to Rotary. So if I can get this pulled apart. There we go. Do you want me to stick it on your? Okay, I'm not gonna even try to.
You can just hand it to me.
Next time you have a shirt on with a collar.
Yeah, I don't want a shirt with a collar.
Look at the camera. There we go. Let's stick this down. Thanks very much. We really appreciate it. Rotary does some pretty good stuff with the money we give them, so it's great that we're helping out. Where's John Thompson? He wanted to mention a few things about our grants committee.
Okay, good, thanks. We've got a very active grants committee. I think there are 9 people on it, and including liaison to the board of directors. And our budget this year was $90,000, and so far we have expended and are making presentations at various organizations for about $73,000, which leaves us about $16,000 to go for the last quarter. So I know last year there was an initiative encouraging members to bring forward projects that might have interest that Rotary could invest in. Mac, I know, had a good project there when you had the speaker. Can you tell us about what the impact that might have had last year, Mac? It was just a few $100s we gave. Sorry to put you on the spot, but I know here.
It's actually quite fitting that you mentioned that.
Oh.
I'm opening up my phone here because I actually received an email last night from Ghana, from TK, from Future of Africa, who we donated $250 towards. And TK wrote me this just yesterday to say that it's been almost a year since we sat together in our living room to discuss Future of Africa. A lot has happened. I've taken a year off at the University of Accra to give Future of Africa my full attention. We've seen so much progress, and we're excited to increase our impact at home and abroad. That's a fancy way of him saying, I want to build a school and a community center for these children, and I want you to raise the money for me.
That is pretty fancy.
So Future of Africa has really taken off. They used the money that we donated as well, funds that we raised at a fundraiser in the spring, to buy basic things like blankets for kids that sleep on the streets. They can't convince children to actually come in off the streets. They're too scared, but they at least give them a blanket so when they're asleep on the road at night, they have something to cover themselves up with. They're trying to build a community center / school for these children, because all schools privatized in Ghana. There is no public school board like we have here, and they're going to be they're looking for more help. They're seeing progress, and they're looking for more help.
As unprepared as you were, great job. Thanks, Mac. Yeah.
I have one little suggestion or a reminder. Many years ago, if you go to the St. Jacob's Country Playhouse, you'll see between the box office windows a sign, Hearing Assist Program provided by Kitchener-Westmount Rotary. And it was supposed to be for 10 years, and I think we've got 15 or 16 out of them. And they're wondering if we would like to renew that. We bought the original Hearing Assist Program. It's infrared for those who have hearing difficulties. And it's been really appreciated, and it's spurred on other clubs and other organizations into 6 other theaters, and they all have it now. But now it's time for a bit of a renewal process with I believe half the price of what we paid the last time. And that's something we could consider. And I said, what if we don't have it? They said you can do it over a couple of years. They're very generous.
Thanks for volunteering to look into that further, Neil. Appreciate that. So there's a couple of good suggestions. And we have applications now that we'll be dealing with in April. I think if we took care of those, probably about $5,000 would be the upper limit. Still leaves some money. And Ed, you gave me, I think, 4 letters today that I think are all requests for funding. But I would like to encourage our members, if you've got, Troy, you had a good one last year too, if I remember, through the hockey team. I'm not going to ask you to talk about it, but that money was well used in your opinion?
Yeah, they were able to buy the answer.
Yeah. So, we can spread our tentacles and get some good public community relations for our club by sprinkling some fairy dust type grants around the community. Bill?
Does that 90 include international?
No. International has its own budget. David?
Does it still have money left?
David?
We still have, I think, about $8,000 that we're supposed to be spending, and we have a plan for at least 5 of it. So we may spend some more. If there's some particular things around international, you should get them to me soon.
Yeah, our year ends June 30th, so we don't want to be making decisions on President's Night on the 27th. So if you've got some ideas, bring them to us, and we'll go with that. So thanks very much, and for members of the Grants Committee, we will be convening probably in early April.
Great. Thanks very much, John. I'd like to support what John says. I think we're all pretty well connected in the charity community out there. So I think if you know of a charity and you think they've got a real need, don't hesitate to get them in touch with John, and they can make an application, and maybe we can spend the money on a worthwhile cause. Let's see what else have we got here. Oh, I'd like to report that President Ed won the bingo lottery last Thursday night. So thanks to Karen Boyson, we've got this new game, we've got bingo. As you know, there are 3 Rotarians who show up in addition to Bill, who's always there. And the reason we need a total of 3 volunteers there. But the reason we have 4 showing up is because in the past people would sometimes forget. And so what happens is one person gets to go home. So we've devised a new game, and what you do is you put $5 in the pot, and you pick one of the bingo numbers, and whoever's bingo number comes up first, you get to go home first. And the $5 from each person goes into a pot, and I think we're going to use that for Polio Plus. So I'm very happy to report I got to go home early last Thursday, and we raised some money for Polio Plus. So great idea, Karen. And made my night, that's for sure. Neil had to work twice as hard. I got an email from Louise Gardner yesterday, so I thought I'd share that with you. It's good news. So, my dear Rotary friends, Graham is now out of the hospital and doing well. He's using a walker for distances, but he can get around the condo with a cane. He is in physio 3 times a week, and they are expecting him to continue to get stronger. His pills are crazy and must be taken 4 times daily, often with food, which he is quite enjoying now that he can fully eat again. We're on quite the regiment. He is completely off oxygen, but does huff a little when he's active. He's lost 30 pounds. So his street clothes are baggy, and she says I've gained. So as a couple, we're break even. So. We have a ton of clinic appointments in March because it's 3 months after the transplant, and this is the norm. Hoping April will bring some normality back to our lives. Graham has not been cleared to do stairs, but we are hoping soon that we can head home to Kitchener for the weekend. Fingers crossed for this weekend. A special thank you to each of you for all your support over this trying time. Graham and I hope to see you all very soon. So that's really good news. It's been a really uphill battle for him, but it sounds like he's sort of turned the corner and he's on the mend. So don't hesitate to send him an email.
Hey Ed, I saw Graham's parents, because they come visit me at the pharmacy.
Yeah.
And they were just so happy that there's a chance that we might come to Kitchener for the weekend. And
yeah, that's a big event for them.
So much better. And
yeah.
I told them, that, of course, pass all our hugs
yeah.
through them.
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, it's been such a battle, and he had pneumonia after the surgery, and it was, oh my gosh, I can't imagine how difficult that is. Anyway, that's news from Louise Gardner. The Wyerton Rotary Club. When I was down in Honduras with Dave and Kathy, there were 2 fellows there from Wyerton, and they were involved in the Rotary Club, and they have something called Maple Magic, which is sort of a maple syrup festival. One of the fellows owns an elk farm, but he's also got a maple syrup operation. So if you're not doing anything this weekend or next weekend, you can head up to Wyerton and go to Maple Magic that's sponsored by the Rotary Club up there. Look for the Regal Point Elk Farm. Or if you go to the website, the Wyerton Rotary website, probably be a good day for the kids. And what else have I got to say? That's it. Do any members have any business we should take care of? Keep selling those VFL tickets. Neil was telling me he's in the 300 range right now. So we all got to pull up our socks and try to catch Neil. If that's it for business, get out your 50-50 tickets. $571 apparently. So the pot's getting pretty big. And the first lucky contestant is ticket number 022. Last 3 digits. 022.
022.
Maria, come on up.
I knew this was going to be my lucky.
Oh, yellow. No.
You being
When I show up.
978. Is that you, Judy?
Sorry, you can't write a check yourself.
Judy got some big news this week, eh? With the hospice got what, $2 million from the Ministry. I don't know how you did that for capital funding. I think it's the first time the Ministry of Health has ever.
There's an election coming up, isn't there?
Oh yeah. Thank you. And 011. 011. Somebody must have added more marbles. We're still not down to the last. Yeah. Good luck, Bob.
That was very nice of you.
No, the pot lives on. Wow. We're gonna be over $600 next week.
How many marbles are left, Ed?
Well, it looks like about a dozen. I just keep throwing more in. It's in there. I can definitely say it's in there. Okay, we're going to test your Rotary trivia knowledge, and we're going to find out who's been reading Rotary magazine. So in this month's edition, there's an article about somebody named Samantha Kinghorn. Any idea who she is? You guys aren't reading your Rotary magazine, come on. Well, that's, yeah. The whole issue was on Rotary. I need something more specific.
I read the cover.
I get to keep the wine today. So Samantha is a 14-year-old from Scotland, and she lost the use of her legs when she's not a 14. When she was 14, she lost the use of her legs from a farm accident on the family farm. And of course, when you're 14, that's it's a massive tragedy. Well, at any age it is, but especially if you're 14. So but she's rebounded incredibly well. She's a world-class wheelchair racer. There's a big story about her and her perseverance and her positive attitude and so on. So it's pretty interesting to see what she's done given the trauma she went through. And they had pictures of her, and she's got these burn marks on her arms. She trains so hard that there's burn marks on her arms. Looks pretty gross, but anyway, really good story, and of course she's involved in Rotaract, so read your Rotarian magazine. And I think that's it for today in terms of trivia, and we've got a couple really great speakers today, and Bill Pegg's going to tell you who they are.
Just a little side note on the bingo. So yeah, how happy was Ed when you see a guy dancing his way out to his car and Eddie doesn't dance?
I'll say we should make that one $20.
And how sad was Leo? I mean, the tears were just kind of. He was playing better. Anyway.
30% chance.
So it's good fun though. Anyway, so I have two people to introduce. We all know them, and but here's a little background on both Klara and Maria. I'm going to do Klara first. So Klara graduated from pharmacy school in Tirana University, Albania, at the age of 23. So she's obviously smart, unlike a lot of us.
With my experience, I was worried that you would say that I'm too old. Being practicing pharmacy.
I'll tell you what too old is. So less than a year later, she opened her own pharmacy, and for 4 years, her pharmacy maintained exceptional professional standards, while at the same time being profitable. Klara left her pharmacy in Albania to immigrate to Canada, where she worked as a pharmacy assistant with Calgary Co-op. She worked as an assistant for several months while completing her Canadian pharmacy licensing requirements. She practiced as a licensed pharmacist in Alberta until 2006, when she received an offer to run a long-term care facility pharmacy in Waterloo. The opportunity provided her with great experiences, knowledge in a new work setting, and a designation of geriatric pharmacy in 2011. The short form for that is BCGP. In 2007, Shoppers Drug Mart franchise opportunity arose. It was seen as the next step in her career, and to this day continues to fuel Klara's passion for business without losing focus on her chosen profession. Klara continued her training and became a certified diabetes educator in 2013, injection certified, received her methadone treatment certificate, and has committed to being a lifelong learner in the continually evolving profession that is pharmacy. So that is Klara. And how about a hand for Klara? Next is Maria. So Maria graduated from the University of Toronto Pharmacy School and is a registered clinical pharmacist with 30 years of experience in pharmacy, including hospital and a vast variety of community practices from as far west as Windsor, London, Elmira to Mississauga, and as far north as Sault Ste. Marie, which, by the way, is her hometown. Hard to believe that she's been practicing for 30 years. I mean, I thought she was only about 40. For over 26 years, Maria has been practicing in Kitchener, Waterloo, Cambridge region. Presently, she is a franchise owner of 2 Shoppers Drug Marts, Waterloo Corporate Campus Shoppers at Northfield and Weber, and Preston in Cambridge. As a certified diabetes educator, CAMH immunizing, I get this right, immunizing pharmacist, and INR certified, she enjoys providing excellent patient care and optimizing the overall health to her patients. As a preceptor for numerous students and interns of U of W, U of T pharmacy schools, and international pharmacists, she enjoys supporting the profession of pharmacy. She is passionate about giving back to the community, and we all know that. Maria has managed the transition of an independently owned pharmacy to a Shoppers Drug Mart, including system changes, which include Health Watch, MMS, and EPOS, which perhaps she will explain. Training, procedural front store, and pharmacy standards were implemented. Great opportunity to focus on professional services, including INR, diabetes clinics, patient care in retail, and group home settings. Despite the fire at Parkdale Plaza a few years ago, she continued to provide excellent patient care to her very supportive and loyal community. Maria has enjoyed raising 3 daughters who are now in their 20s, proud to have 1 grand dog, 7-month-old,
Griffin.
80-pound German Shepherd puppy, enjoys walking, cooking, gardening, encouraging music, Royal Conservatory piano teacher. Oh. And part of a healthy lifestyle. Well, we know she's healthy. So, Maria and Klara, please join us.
No. Well, they wrote the bio. I mean,
Actually, my student wrote mine. Well, thank you very much. I think we have 52 years of pharmacy experience between the 2 of us, if I'm doing the math right. Yeah. 30 and 52.
2 continents.
Yes.
For me, even in 2 provinces in Canada, Alberta and Ontario.
So I think we cover Kitchener, Waterloo, Cambridge, Breslau, a little bit of variety that we're working on these days. But I
maybe use the microphone to just hit the handheld.
So what I thought we would do today is just tell you about where we are with pharmacy today, because we've certainly lived through 30 years for myself and say 22 for Klara, and all the evolving changes, lots and lots of changes. When I went to U of T and graduated in, well, I won't tell you when I graduated, I was very young. I got a chance to live through many aspects of pharmacy and all the changes. So what we thought we would do is, first of all, just tell you a little bit about becoming a pharmacist. What do we do, our scope of practice, the role that we have, and our pharmacists that are our dispensing pharmacists in our community pharmacy settings. Professional services is certainly something that's definitely evolved over the years. and of course our continuing education, because the two of us do definitely keep learning every single day with the many different things. So pharmacy in Ontario kind of looks like this at a glance. So 14,000 of us licensed pharmacists, say 11,000 in the community setting, 2,000 in the hospital setting, 1,000 in industry, government, academia, and there are, say, over 4,000 community pharmacies in Ontario, with a little over 200 being in the hospital pharmacy settings there. So how do you become a pharmacist? Well, you can do many different things. You can go to Albania and make your way over through Alberta and here, or you can go to U of T. But 5 years, at least 5 years of university education, say at U of T, say for myself, and you have to have like a couple years of an undergrad before you apply to pharmacy school. And if you do every single course right off the bat, then you could probably do 2 years and then 5 years after that. So the two schools, U of W and U of T, you now graduated with a PharmD. And of course, because we just love to continue learning, you can do an extra year in a hospital setting. You could do a residency program in a pharmaceutical industry, and certifications like we've done with diabetes or asthma, geriatrics, INRs, methadone. So at the end of the day, there's lots of different specialties, and basically our community sort of dictated and told us what we should be doing. Like my patients would say to me, well, Maria, why don't you help me with my glucose levels and get me to target, right? So, well, we became diabetic educators. Or why don't we, do my INR? Like I've got an issue with clotting or heart attack, strokes, and that. I don't want to go to the lab. Why don't I just drop in, and my son can take me after work because we got convenient hours, and get that done. So there's lots of opportunity for learning. This little slide over here shows a little bit about the scope of practice throughout Canada. So it's very small to see, but all the different provinces right now are entitled to practice different parts of their expanded scope of practice. And well, when you think about when I first started, I could not do an injection flu shot. We did, at least 2,000 flu shots this past season at my store, and I'm sure similar at Klara's there, 1,300 at Klara's. We do about 13 of them on the list. Like you can come in and we do your twin Ricks, your hepatitis A, B, if you're doing some traveling. And then again, we do the ones that are not on the list with just a quick form we fax over to your doctor. For instance, this one of my patients in a wheelchair, diabetes, he's got his amputations now and that, so he finds it much easier just to have his wife bring him in his wheelchair into our pharmacy. We do his injections monthly for him. And so lots of different expanded scope of practice. Smoking cessation, like a few years ago we weren't able to prescribe different medications that can help patients quit smoking. Now we can, and there's a government program to help us help the patients quit with follow-up calls and recommendations along the way. So I think I've covered this.
Yeah. If we see on the slides there, you see Alberta is all on green. So pharmacists in Alberta at this point, they have no restrictions even prescribing the medications. In Ontario, and it is well received in the area and helping the healthcare system much better, because the pharmacist is there at any time, you don't need an appointment, and can solve a lot of things for the emergency rooms. In Ontario, you see the red part of it, it is highlighted, means that in a lot of things it is still some red tape that the pharmacists are capable of doing them and help the healthcare, but somehow we still have to fight and say what we can do and how we can help the healthcare system. That's what those mean.
For example, with the lab results, you would think that we could see your lab results. We could see what your glucose levels are or your cholesterol test was, and in Ontario we can't, but in Alberta you can. So right now I'm a pilot store, so they're going to bring this Clinic Connect to my store, so I'll have access to, I'm not sure which labs in the area and that, or hospitals and that, so then again with your permission as a patient, then I'd be able to help better decide if, for instance, I see that your cholesterol level's out of range, or if your glucose levels are still too high after we've made a couple recommendations. So these are things that pharmacists can do to help manage your medications and provide advice on over-the-counter medications and natural health products. And we provide prescription medication counseling and medical device training, whether you need to be shown how to use a blood pressure machine or a glucose meter, or all the different inhalers for asthma, or obviously for diabetes, how do you do your injections. So lots of different options there that we can do. And again, some of the professional services, MedCheck program has been quite a successful program to give us the opportunity to review someone's file and make professional opinions and educate the patient, find out what their goals are, what are the patient's goal, and then make the suggestions to the doctors. And then from that, sometimes we discontinue meds that you don't need to take, change meds, change doses, and hopefully in the big picture prevent problems. It could even mean like diet and exercise and non-pharmacological measures. So naloxone training, well, I'm not sure if you guys have been in at your local pharmacy for your naloxone training, because if you know someone that takes an opioid or oxycodone or something for pain, we do offer that training. So you just drop in with your health card, and it's all again about preventing problems. Blister packaging is an excellent way to help improve compliance with patients, because we know 50% of our patients and us, we don't take our meds as prescribed, and then there's a small percentage that never make the prescription never makes it to the actual pharmacy anyway. So again, INR testing helps our patients on warfarin, cardiovascular health coaching on keeping a healthy heart. Clinic days, like we have regular foot care clinic days with diabetes or with dietitians. We have one this Friday happening. And prescription renewals. Now, prescription renewals, when I look at that, I think, well, 20 years ago, if you showed up at my pharmacy and you didn't have a prescription for your blood pressure medication, of course I'm going to give you some, right, to tie you over. So we tied you over with whatever we thought was appropriate in the best interest of the patient. And so now it's actually legal. So I can write a prescription under my name and give you whatever I feel, 3 months or 1 month, and until the therapy can be continued. So now, continuing education is mandatory. So every once in a while, the college will come knocking and say, "Can you do a little test, or can you come in? Can you prove that you certainly are a competent pharmacist?" It's to make sure that we protect the public. And again, we have these different designations here, and methadone training has been sort of the later one that we've introduced into our practice. And at first, you think there's all that stigma attached, and it's a little bit of training with the staff. But when I saw like the nice young gentleman came to the pharmacy, Maria, I'm not taking my methadone. I've reduced it down to 0. I'm not doing drugs. I'm clean. He was just so happy, and he said, "Well, thank you for being so supportive." And no one else believed that I would come off of it, and I did. So yeah, there's many that may not come off of it, but it's harm reduction. So it's wonderful to know that they can have their young daughter raising them and look after the family, be working, and in the big picture, it's of course, better than being on heroin on the streets, and that for sure.
The slides, some of the slides here for the University of Waterloo are edited from my PharmD candidate student that she still works with me. She did the co-op last year with me, and then she still works a couple of shifts, while by the end of this year she should be graduating as a pharmacy with a PharmD. So when we talk about continuing education, every pharmacist is keeping up, but these kids are coming, and she wanted me just to bring it out there and saying that when they see with this passion, and she is such a bright young lady, and then she loves the profession, she said, can you just leave these slides for your Rotary Club to tell them when they see me working at the Shoppers Drug Mart until midnight, I just don't want to feel that, okay, I owe them. I am knowledgeable, and then she is qualified, actually. She's finishing this year on the Dean's list, which means that her average is over 80% at this point for the girl, and she's going to be going starting next year, that 1 year, extra year, just to be trained in all of these services is there. So this was the purpose of all of this, and I said, that's for sure. I can talk to my friends, I said, for our profession and for all of this hard work that the pharmacists are the face and the first healthcare providers that you can see there at any time, but very highly educated. So should be trusted, and then a lot of these things that you can see in there, you can go in the pharmacy and get your, instead of waiting in a lab for hours to get your turn, to get your INR, which stands for International Normalizer Ratio for people on a blood thinner. That's what it will be. You can go and get it in a pharmacy, and the pharmacist is trained and gone through extra training just to adjust your dose, so you don't have just to go back and forth doing in a lab and go to the doctor's office and get some prescription changed. And sometimes it takes 2 or 3 days, and it is important for these people to change the dose right away to go into their target to prevent the blood clots. Diabetes educator, or checking the cholesterol as well, or checking if you have a viral infection or if you have a strep throat. So starting that antibiotic right away, and you can, at this point, you can get this in the pharmacy. And when I say that these standards continue education, they are mandatory. Am I saying that every pharmacist is going to be in the top level there? These young kids are very well educated there. These designations, they are not only, these pins on you, they show that they are not forever. Like certified diabetes educator, I did it in 2013. I am gonna redo it again on 2018, it's 5 years. Geriatric, I did in 2011, so there are standards to keep you updated at every time. So none of these all come with hard work. So checking the names in there and checking the experience, it can be your best bet to get the best care.
So I guess when you look at your pharmacist sitting or standing behind the counter, there's a lot of knowledge that we have to share. And because we're very accessible, right? We're open 8 till 10, you're open till midnight, right? So it's important that I think people make a connection with a pharmacy or pharmacist, because we'll help you out along the way. At some point, we all have a health issue of some sort, and
even the community pharmacies. So they are very, when somebody goes and open their own business in there, they are not going from these young kids, they are not going to have the guts to go and open that business in there until they have some of these certification and they feel that they have more value to offer. So I'm sorry, I just put there it was a Shoppers, that's what picture I could get, but I'm not biased to say that it is Shopper or the community pharmacies, the small independent ones. You see that these persons are taking the initiative to do it, they are trained to do it, they want to do it independently and help everybody. So that's what the pharmacy profession would mean.
I remember when I went to do my INR for the warfarin, the blood thinning course with Jeff Nagy at the University of Waterloo. Like you do your reading, and then you go for several sessions, and they have a clinic where all the patients just keep on coming in, and many of them were my own patients coming in to see that particular clinic. And I remember, there was just the two of us. There was this brand new PharmD student, and then me, and then the professor. The three of us were doing this clinic for 2 or 3 sessions, and I thought, Well, so the questions would go around, and my pharmacokinetics and that, I still have a good understanding, but mine isn't the elaborate 3-chapter explanation of how, you get to it. Mine was A, B, C, D, done, right? And then we went and we had to, part of the session, of course, as the patient comes, we check their warfarin level, and then we see, well, what am I going to do? Raise the dose or lower the dose? That's what we do when you come in, and we have to keep you within a range, because too low, well, you're going to bleed, right? Or too high, you're going to bleed. Too low, you're going to have a stroke. So we got to keep you right within the right window. And then I remember I love to talk, and my one daughter said, "Oh, be careful what you say. You're at a school setting. Everything that comes out of your mouth, they're going to mark." Right? So, anyways, March, of course, is Pharmacy Awareness Month, and a great opportunity for us to tell you a little bit about what we do. I included some little flyers on your table there, and you can take a look, because there's all kinds of different areas, right? There's emotional health, of course, with all the medications that we have to help with depression, and type 2 diabetes, which certainly is on the rise. Healthy lifestyle and eating and exercise is very important, because unfortunately North America, we have the Canadian Tire, right, that doesn't help us very much. And there's another one here on just choosing vitamins. How many questions do we get every day? Like, oh, which vitamins should I be taking? So we look at your age. We look, well, do you for osteoporosis or menopause or young or whatever the stories are. Cholesterol, of course. We want to keep the good cholesterol, the HDL high, and then the low cholesterol low, and sometimes we can help through diet, and sometimes we do need medications, of course, to help us out, or sometimes we need to reduce the stress from our life. Hypertension, of course, high blood pressure, another one that we want to keep our hearts pumping healthy. Arthritis, at some point we all have a bit of pain here or there, and we do this. Our commitment, of course, is always privacy, so everything you say to a pharmacist is always confidential, and there's a little flyer that reviews again all the different services that we do. And to make it simple, with even all of our technology now, you can give us your confidential email. You can actually see your Health Watch, say, profile from home. You can order it. You can set it up so that your phone will automatically order it when it's due, and you get a text message when it's ready. Or we put them in C-packs for you, those bubble packs to keep them organized. And because again, like this one here, 50% of us don't take our medications as directed. How many times do we hear that at the pharmacy? Well, my doctor said to do this, and I'm thinking I'm going to do this, or do I really need to take it? So we can help figure that all out. And this just talks about blood pressure overall. Are you ready to quit smoking? Because if you're ready, come chat. We can help along the way.
And if you are over 65, government pays. Under 65, we'll do it for free.
So any other questions? Or I think we covered most of our slides there. I just thought we.
Do you still, I was aware when I was involved with the Pharmacy Council, their meds check.
Yes.
And interconnected, because somebody might go to one drugstore for this and another for that, and now you're supposed to be able to know what all their drugs they're on?
Not yet.
Not yet.
You have to tell me, because of confidentiality right now. It's not like, say, Alberta, where I could look up your file, Neil, and I could see everything, your lab results, all your meds, your hospital. Here, like with this Clinic Connect that I'm getting, I'll be able to maybe see your lab results soon, but I have no idea what you're taking. I might know that you had a narcotic or a control, because the system flags those to help us monitor narcotic dispensing and that, but I don't know what her patients are taking at her store.
The point is, because if her patients come into your store and you don't know they're on another drug, there's side effects.
Yeah.
And then you'll get that med checklist. When you sit down with the pharmacist, you are telling me I'm making that one and that one, you get the original copy. So if you go to another pharmacy or even getting something over the counter or a vitamin, you'll just give this one to the pharmacist and say, that's what I take, instead of memorizing everything there. So that one is an official document done by a pharmacist. So that's how the other pharmacist on the other end, by looking at it, will be able to recommend you something that will be compatible.
Yeah, the pharmacists in our club are both women, and I'm just wondering about gender equity and balance in your industry.
I don't know for Maria's class, but on my university class, from 80 people that we graduated that year, we have only 5 boys.
And that was,
in Albania.
And how about here?
I'd say maybe 1/3 male, 2/3 female, and just over the years, you know, because sometimes women are the ones at home raising the kids and stuff, we are often, you know, very interested. Of course, we want to help people, and we're working as the staff pharmacist, right? But we broke out of that, right? Because if you look now at my shoppers' colleagues who are associate owners, we're the minority, right? Yeah, definitely the minority. So it's just interesting to see, you know, what people choose and what they want to do with their profession.
So how different is it from like 50 years ago? Has it shifted? Was it primarily male at one time?
No. Well, maybe 50 years ago. Yeah.
And there's no pay inequity issues. In other words, you have the pay is equal across all pharmacists.
Well, let me see. I would have to say that because of the positions that we're in, we have a little bit more insight into all that. I still fight a little bit more for the female ones to make sure that they're getting the same wage as the males.
Oh, really?
In our area. Now, in Toronto, there's probably an excess of pharmacists right now, so their wages are lower, right? So 60 or 50 years ago, the wages, there weren't as many pharmacists. There was only one school. Now we got 2 schools. Now we have more and more automation too, right? We can have computers, programs, different things help us prepare, dispense, do all that part a lot quicker than we could doing it all manually. Mm-hmm. So a few changes for sure. Any other questions? Hey, Bill?
2 questions, Maria and Klara. So you were saying things today that I didn't know. I had no idea. So my first question is, how can you get that information out there to people? And I know you've got a lot of printed material here, which is nice to see for a guy in the printing business. So there's that method, but so that's my first question. My second question is, I ask you to comment. A few months ago, my wife had some minor surgery, day surgery, and they wrote out a prescription. The surgeon wrote out a prescription, which I took to our pharmacist. And I went back later to pick it up, and he said, "Can I talk to you for a minute?" And I said, "Sure." And he asked me what type of surgery it was, and I told him. And the surgeon had given her 4 different pain medications. Okay, better, super, and turn you into an addict.
Yes.
Okay? Like the 4th one was stuff we could have gone downtown here and sold for $100 a pill.
Yes.
So he said, in my opinion, he said, I'll give you these. But in my opinion, if she had to make it past number 2, then I would say you probably should be revisiting the hospital because something's not right. So he said, I'll give them to you if you want. And I said, well, no, then don't give them to me. Just give me the first 2. And he said, okay, that's fine, I will. Because they had to be paid for, even though we have a drug plan, they had to be paid for. And then if she didn't use them, which, you know, she would just have to return it, and then they destroy it.
Dispose of it, yeah.
So, I'd like you to comment on that, just because I thought, wow, this is, you know, this prescription in the wrong hands.
That's right. And that's why we have this big problem with...
And I'm not faulting the doctor, by the way. He's just covering all these bases.
Don't blame the pharmacist.
No, we are defending it. No, and I just finished just being trained for addiction, like methadone maintenance training programs in there. And we had even doctors, counselors talking and mentioning whatever it was happening. And it was the doctor, it was funny to see how the doctor was putting it. He said, we don't know. We thought oxycodone was a miracle drug. Somebody is on pain, we are giving, and not only was treating the pain, but helping that person coming out of the surgery to feel better. So 20 years later, we are finding this problem that even the kids just pulling the wisdom teeth and they got addicted. And then what we are getting then? We are getting, I'm sorry, but you have to deal with it. And to take them off, I had somebody who was telling me that on methadone, he was on it for 8 years, and was when you start on methadone maintenance, pretty much you are on the 100 milligrams daily. The guy was in 1 or 2 milligrams daily and still could feel the side effects. So he wasn't sleeping well. I had to help him with natural products to help with the sleep after 8 years. And he was determined to get off it. But side effects of the addiction, it is real, it is physical. So should not be a stigma. So it is, the doctors did not understand how they were working. So now they are understanding a bit better and they are giving us options. And that's why you have to rely on the pharmacist. Even the doctors are treating the pharmacist feeling that we are the drug expert. While the doctors do, and they are expert on diagnosing, better than the pharmacist, but they are not better on medication than us. While in my pharmacy school, in 5 years, I was studying pharmaceutical chemistry, and it was one of my theses, even at the end of it, right? The doctor on the medication has done only 1 semester studying the medication, right? While the pharmacist has done 5 years. While I can say that on the diagnosis, on my time, we did only 2 semesters on internal disease and diagnosing, has changed a lot. When I check with the student, and I had the students, almost 2 students per year that graduated on this, at least my